What is going on, everybody? Happy holidays. Yeah, I'm going to say because it is that time, November 16th. Happy holidays to all of you. Welcome to the Ring the Bell show, brought to you by Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com, use our code baseball20 for 20% off and free shipping on your order. I am Christy Francesco. Joining me is Dean Holdsapple. Dean, what's going on, man? How are you?
Not much. Feels good to be back talking some Phillies baseball in the offseason.
Absolutely, man. Well, look, it's been a few weeks. We've had enough time to let what happened settle down. And I think it's time. It's time to get back on the saddle and ride off into the off season and get back to bring all the best Phillies content around for each and every week. But look, we have a lot to discuss here tonight. This could be a longer one. We'll see what happens with the dialogue between Dean and I, because I think a lot of the offseason we actually kind of agree, which is abnormal, but we'll see as things, carry on
This
here.
is the peaceful side of the show.
It is. Yes, it is. We're going to break the show down in segments because I don't want to go all over the place. And the best way to do that is to make sure I stick to one subject at a time. We also will go through a few of the top free agents and predict who that particular player will sign with. And, if we're feeling frisky, maybe we'll project the contract details. Couple quick news and notes. It was passed, I believe, yesterday that the Oakland Athletics will soon become the Las Vegas, Athletics. I believe, by 2028, I believe, is when the
I
move will
didn't see the
happen.
date. Yeah.
Also, congratulations to Shohei Ohtani and Ronald Acuna Jr. They won their respective league MVPs this evening. It was crazy. I almost feel like Mookie Betts was a little bit disrespected because Acuna received every first place vote and Mookie Betts received every second place vote. So,
Yeah, I mean, but when you got a guy like Acuna who stole 73 bases this season on top
yeah,
of this
40
other
home
stats,
runs.
which are pretty similar. Mookie and him were there. I
Yeah.
think he had a higher batting average, and then that's 73 stolen bases is just out of this world. So
Yeah, he's
don't
the
forget
first
about
of his kind. So,
Blake Snell and Garrett Cole winning
for sure. Yeah,
Cy
Garrett
Youngs.
Cole, unanimous Cy Young. Blake Snell winning his second Cy Young, the
Guess we're not
lefty out of
signing
San
him.
Diego. So we'll see.
It
We'll
just drove
see
his
what.
price up.
Absolutely, we'll see what the future looks like for Blake Snell. Maybe it's in Philadelphia. We'll talk about that. With that being said, now let's kind of start with one of our own, Aaron Nola. Nola, as expected, rejected the Phillies qualifying offer, officially making him a free agent. We know reportedly that way back in spring training, apparently both parties were about $100 million off of each other. That's a lot. And I mean, a
Yes.
lot. Like 30 to 40 would be a lot, but this is 100. But, Dean, fast forward to today, Aaron Nola, had one of the worst seasons of his career. He buckled in the NLCS, and, he is seeking at least a 5-year deal worth upwards of $30 million per season. It looks like, based on how this offseason is shaping up, he's going to probably get close to those numbers, maybe even more in terms of the years. Phillies president of baseball ops, Dave Dombrowski, has stated multiple times that Nola is the number one offseason priority for the Phillies. Whether or not they get the deal done is obviously up for grabs. Nothing's happened as of this moment that we're doing this live. According to Jason Stark of The Athletic, many rival executives believe that the bidding for Nola, will push him to 7 years, maybe an even higher AAV than what was offered to him by the Phillies. That's something I want to talk about because I do believe that the Phillies might be quite creative with how they re-sign Nola if they do. This does certainly bode well for the Phillies, who are expected to keep Nola. Many people within the league believe he's going to go back to the Phillies. They have the financial resources to offer him a contract. But,
Yeah.
Jason Stark noted that when the Phillies and Nola last tried to negotiate, things kind of went awry. Like we said, they weren't even remotely close. So while I think that could pose a slight problem, I think the Phillies are in a position now where Unfortunately, maybe Aaron Nola has a little bit of leverage. If Julio Urias didn't decide to, beat up a female, we could be talking about a bidding war for quite a few pitchers in
Yeah.
terms of to Philadelphia. But we do know, Dean, is that the St. Louis Cardinals, the Texas Rangers, the Yankees, the Atlanta friggin' Braves are apparently hot on Nola's tail, and they're showing significant interest, according to Bob Nightingale of the USA Today. Let's talk about Aaron Nola, Dean, and this is something other than Kyle Schwarber. Aaron
Mm,
Nola, guy we talked about more than almost anybody else.
mm,
You and I have been on the same boat, the same wavelength for a long time regarding Aaron Nola.
yeah.
What is your outlook? Like, let's talk about what we saw this year out of him, in your opinion. And has your opinion changed on bringing him back and signing this guy long term? Where's your head at right now on Aaron Nola?
Well, to preface everything, this isn't my money, so I really could care less what the Phillies do with their money, as
Yeah.
long as it's good additions to the team and you're not maybe weakening your team, um, to bring in players, like
Hmm.
i.e., any types of trade of Kyle Schwarber, you know, um, or JT Realmuto or something like
Yeah.
that. That's a weakening of your team because now you have a hole in another position.
Hmm.
Um, I don't entirely care how they spend their money. Again, not
Hmm.
my money. I don't pay the player salaries. I barely spend money in the stadium. I barely spend money to get in the stadium. Um, so the Phillies do not get a lot of money from me anyway. So even though I go to games, I have my secrets. Um, um, but I don't like the fact that like this guy he's a good pitcher. I'm not going to take that away from. Listen, if you play top level in any professional sports in any league in the world, you're at least a good player.
Hmm.
Far better than me, and I played sports most of my life. But you got to have some sort of talent to be in the top that top echelon. You know what I mean? It's few and far between the player and a long career. He's been in the league for almost 10 years. He's had a pretty solid career, but he's not like a $30 million a year pitcher. I think that's absolutely ridiculous for a guy who has not accomplished anything in his career. He's had one outstanding career
Hmm.
season, which was 5 years ago, and he has been pretty pedestrian since then. Um, and this year was probably the worst I've ever seen him pitch until we got to like September when he
Yeah.
when he kind of dialed it in, which is great because I'd rather you be good in September and the playoffs than in April and May when those games they matter, but they're not like the be all end all of the season.
Right.
So I like if you're going to spend $30 million a year on a pitcher, I would rather see you go after a guy who's won 2 Cy Youngs in his career.
Yeah, it makes
You know what I
sense,
mean?
right? Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't think Blake Snell and Aaron Nola are that far apart in
Hmm.
terms of pitchers anyway. I don't think Blake Snell is like an incredible pitcher. I think he's a very
Yeah.
good pitcher, though. You don't
Yeah.
win 2 Cy Youngs without being at least a very good pitcher.
That's for sure. Yeah.
You can fluke one like Corbin Burns did in a 60-game season,
And you look at it
but
this way, I mean, people kind of are talking down about Blake Snell. I mean, Garrett Cole's been one of the best pitchers in baseball for half a decade, and Blake Snell has one more Cy Young than Garrett Cole. So,
yeah,
you know,
if my memory serves me correctly, Blake Snell has one less Cy Young than Clayton Kershaw.
yeah, I
I
think
think
Kershaw's
Kershaw
got
has three.
three.
I
I
think
think
he's
you're
got
right.
three.
Yeah.
And Kershaw's probably the second greatest left-handed pitcher in the history of baseball.
Yeah, he's got three
Um,
Cy Youngs.
yeah. Um,
Pretty good.
so again, if you let Nola walk, though, who are you going to replace him with? That's my biggest question. Again, being as somebody who is not a huge fan of Aaron Nola, but where's the replacement? Who's the guy coming in to be that number two pitcher? Is it Blake Snell? Then I'm okay with it. But like, I don't think. Is it Sonny Gray? Sonny Gray's a good pitcher, and statistically, they're about the same.
Yeah.
Um,
But you
but
don't,
that's like it.
he's
That's
not
like
an
it.
upgrade from Aaron Nola.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a what do they call it? Like a lateral
Fringe.
move. You know what I mean?
It's
They're
a
just
fringe
it's a
mover.
one for one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, but you'd mentioned before, and I guess you'd heard of some stuff about that they might get tricky with the money.
Yeah.
Again, I could care less about the money. So if you're going to spend $30 million bringing everyone back, fine. I don't care. But I mean, if you want to spend $30 million, like I said, I would rather see you bring in a guy who's won 2 Cy Youngs and has pitched in one World Series, I think.
He may have,
Yeah, and he pitched a
I'll have to
gem in that
check.
World Series. He did not lose that World Series for the Rays. The manager did.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I'd bring him back if Snell is off the table, then I would just bring him back. So I
Yeah.
mean, you're not going to get anybody better out there. You're not going to trade anybody. We're not trading Kyle Schwarber. We're going to talk about it later in the show, I believe. But I highly doubt we're trading Nick Castellanos. So, like, you don't want to weaken your team by letting a very good pitcher go. He is a very good pitcher. He's just inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So here's my whole outlook on the thing, and I've been thinking about this for a while since we've had time since the last time we streamed here. I with Aaron Nola, I look at it this way: with the way this class is, it like I said even before the show, the last few shows, it's almost set up to where the Phillies don't really have much of a choice to if they're not gonna sign Nola long term, that they got it, then they're going to sign one of the others. It's gonna be Snell. They might even do a combination of a Snell and a Sonny Gray and bring both of them in here.
I'd be fine with that, honestly. I think that's an upgrade because you
Yeah.
brought in brought in Snell, who's a better pitcher, not by much, but a better pitcher, and you brought in a bona fide number 3, which you need a number 3. So I think that I would do that in a heartbeat.
And I look at it this way also, and what I've heard before, and I've seen this quite a few times now, is how I think they're going to be creative with the Aaron Nola contract. It's something I think they should do. Let's just say, and I think the Phillies, and we're going to talk about them possibly getting. Let me just make sure I get his last name, Yamamoto. I really do believe finally the Phillies are going to, dip their toes into that Japanese market. And from, what we've already heard is that the Phillies should be considered a top 5 destination right now for Yamamoto services, who to me is the number 1 target for the Phillies. If I'm Dave Dombrowski, not Nola, I would try my best to get that 25-year-old stud in here out of Japan and pay whatever you think you were going to pay Nola, which could be in that range of $200 million. That's the start. It's probably close to, if not the starting point for Yamamoto. And he's also 5 years younger. And in Japan, he's just absolutely dominant over there. So what I think the Phillies are probably contemplating doing is I can definitely see them saying, hey, let's give Aaron Nola, let's offer him, because what players love is years more so necessarily than the AAV, because then you get just all these years of guaranteed money. And you're guaranteed, like A-Rod didn't play the final 2 or 3 years. He's making $30 million a year. Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid. So,
I just don't understand where this number in his head comes from, because this is arguably the worst season of his career. And he wants $30 million a year. I don't understand it. I really don't. It's not like he was second in the Cy Young and won us a World Series. I would get that. This is literally statistically the worst season of his career.
And I think as well, when it comes to the offseason, you talk about market demand. Pitchers are always going to command that high dollar point, especially at a 30-year-old that apparently outside of Philadelphia, Aaron Nola is very popular. Which, look, I get it. It happens. We're criticized a lot because, we're the fan base that apparently knows nothing, but we watch Aaron Nola pitch every 5th day. So I think the Phillies, you could be looking at a possibility where the Phillies go to Aaron Nola and say, hey, how about we offer you an 8-year contract where you're making $23 to $25 million a year instead of 5 at 30. And what I think that could do is it could really set the Phillies up to not only re-sign Aaron Nola long-term, but you can go get a Yamamoto or even a Blake Snell and a Sonny Gray. I think the best thing to do here is, I know it's already been said, Dombrowski wants another 1 to 2 pitcher in terms of an ace or that number 2 guy. I think he wants more than one, and I think that he's made that clear. My what I think Dombrowski is thinking is, let's see if we can get Nola in here for a longer year term at a lower rate. And then we can take some of that money and then go get another starter. Because here also we have to think, Dean, it's no guarantee the Phillies are going to extend Zach Wheeler. So as of
Yeah,
today,
I think
Zach
they are
Wheeler is
going
gone
to,
after next
but
season.
yeah, I think they're
Right.
going to. I think he's one of those guys where they're like Bryce. I got a
Yeah.
feeling like the same thing with JT, and like Wheeler. I even know JT's like on the downward trend. I just
Yeah.
don't see them letting him play for another team. I don't see them letting Wheeler walk and play for another team. I think, Wheeler's, is he 35, 34? Somewhere around there, I think.
I think he's
Um,
33.
so like I can see them going like, you're not playing for another team for the rest of your career.
He's
You know what I mean?
33.
Like that's just how I like. There's certain players you kind of just have that feeling about, and like those three guys, I'm pretty sure the Phillies are going to try to keep them until they retire or damn near close to retire.
We have a
So I just don't.
comment
Good.
of not from our co-host John McElroy, a different one. I think anyway. I don't think the Phillies should extend Wheeler. If not, please, comment why you think they should not. But I think that's something that's in their heads in terms
Yeah.
of, all right, well, I mean, if we can get a second ace in here, that covers us for if Wheeler's not here post 2024, which is that's phenomenal. That's what you want your GM to do. You know how, Dean and I are not ones that go like, hey, like a 2027, they got to think about this. No, I don't care about 2027.
Yeah.
But Dave Dombrowski's job is to think about 2027. And I think
Yeah.
that's what this offseason provides in terms of the pitching free agency is there's arms out there that you can sign multiples. I mean, you can sign Nola, you can sign Ann Snell, you can sign Nola and Yamamoto. And like Dean said, and like I've said, there's no salary cap, ladies and gentlemen. The Phillies have an owner, and Dombrowski has said this already in his right after the postseason presser. He did say, I don't have a number that was given to me by John Middleton and company. I don't have a set limit. That tells me if Dombrowski thinks that they can get super talent in here, they have the carte blanche to go make the deal. And I love hearing that because I think Dombrowski knows, and he's been very honest, Dean, that he knows what the team needs. And it's clear that their third starter during the season, Taijuan Walker, hasn't pitched in a month, 2 months. It's
Super
clear
fresh.
they need pitching.
Super
Yeah, he's so fresh.
But going back to what you were saying about just now about, bringing in guys to maybe replace Wheeler if he doesn't extend. That's exactly what Buster Olney said about the Braves going after Nola because they don't expect to keep Max Fried after next season. So, if they can get Nola, who he said that they are heavy favorites to go after Nola to go along with Strider after next season because they're not going to keep Fried. Like that's exactly what you were just talking about with us.
I can't even begin to think that Nola. Look, I know there's, Dean and I are of the age where we did grow up when loyalty didn't matter in baseball. When guys like the Biggios and the Ripkins, the Bagwells, like all these dudes that played with the same team for just 15 years, the Jeters, Mariano Rivera, those guys who were just, they would do what they could to stay on the same team. I can't imagine Aaron Nola with a contract from the Phillies on the left and a contract from the from the Braves on the right. He's going to be like, you know what? I'm going to go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Do you think what would you put? What's your probability and percentage you think Atlanta is there in the end? I do think the Yankees are going to try.
I think I don't think it's really high. I got a feeling that the Rangers are going to offer him like an ass ton of money. And I think if he isn't with us next season, he's going to be in Arlington because they're going to want to repeat. They're going to want to repeat as champions. So obviously there's a Cy Young winner on the market this year, but Nola's probably the second best free agent pitcher on the market.
Besides
So
Yamamoto, I mean, yeah, he might be the third overall.
yeah.
So as we're 20 minutes in before we now move on to our next thing. As we sit here right now, what is it, November 16th at a little bit after 9:10 here we go PM in the East Coast, Dean. What is
Mhm.
your final prediction um, of where Aaron Nola goes and what we're looking at as a contract?
Yeah, if I'm going to speak from my gut, I guess I think he's going to stay with us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I see somewhere between a 6 to 7 year deal, like you said, to kind of drag out that price. Maybe like 24 million a year,
Mm-hmm.
25 million a year, which is pretty cheap. But I think it'll be extended over those years. So I just wouldn't go over 30 for him. I mean, who cares? It's not my money.
um,
Whatever. Just win me a damn World Series.
so my prediction, and I've been going over this, I think the Phillies are going to be the end all be all here. I think they're going to end up keeping Aaron Nola. And what I think it's going to be a creative contract that's going to allow them to go after a Yamamoto or a Blake Snell or a Sonny Gray as
Mm,
well. I think the Phillies are going to use this offseason to load up on pitching, which is
yeah.
tremendous. I've been asking for that for
Yeah.
12
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. I have been beating that while we've been signing power hitters. I've been like, so we're gonna sign Bryce Harper and then throw Vince Velasquez in the mound. That's brilliant. So it could be something like Bryce's deal though, how Bryce's deal started off low and it peaks for a couple years and then it dips back down again. I could see them doing
Right.
that with Nola. Like it'll be like maybe like 22, 23, and then maybe shoot up to like 27 for a couple years and then it'll drop
Mhm.
back down. I could see that maybe.
My final prediction is an 8-year deal at $192 million, which will put him at $24 million a year. And I think that'll be a backloaded contract.
Mm,
Um, maybe even if they front loaded, it might actually be more appealing to Aaron Nola to get all that
sure.
money still in the prime of his arm. So get all
Yeah.
that money up front. And then like you said with Bryce's, it's an even flow in the back like 4 years.
Yeah.
But again, is Aaron Nola going to see those 8 years? Probably not. But what that does is that tells the Phillies that he wants to be here. He's getting paid very handsomely for having over the last 5 years an ERA that's at 4. So
Hmm.
you're making $24 million over the next 8 years, or $190 million in the next 8 years. Now let's go get somebody else. And
Yeah.
I think that's where the Phillies are. I can definitely see the Phillies buckling a little bit under the pressure and doing a 5-year $150 million deal, which is $30 million a year. Do I want that? No, because then I think that might mentally strap them in a little bit for this offseason where they might not go get another pitcher. But I
I think
really
about
think
the deal that they might have to give Wheeler if they want to extend him.
so.
Like
Yeah,
if
you're
Aaron
looking at
Nola's
a
getting 30
2-year
million a
extension.
year, yeah, if
Yeah,
Aaron Nola's
if
getting 30 million a year, Zach Wheeler's got to get at least like 35.
I, I
He's
mean, yeah,
one of the best pitchers in baseball.
yeah, he keeps. I mean, I think he just finished what 6th or 7th in the Cy Young voting, which actually should have been higher. But
Yeah, he
that's
started
just
off a little slow this year.
yeah. So that's where I'm at with Aaron Nola. I have Aaron Nola staying with Philadelphia 8 years, $192 million. All right, so let's kind of go now to the next pitcher I wanted to talk about, and that is Mr. Yamamoto out of Japan. From what we've heard, and it's already been and said by Alex Coffey of the Philadelphia Inquirer, she's reported this. John Heyman has reported this. Same with Buster Olney, Jason Sark. The Phillies are strongly considering, and that's what's the words that are being used. Right-handed starting pitcher Yoshinobu. I don't want to mispronounce his name. Yamamoto. I got the last name
Well,
correct,
you
so
did.
give me some grace. I know. I'm sorry. And a lot of people are saying, Dean, that this actually hinges on whether or not Aaron Nola re-signs with the Phillies. So Alex Coffey wrote this in the Philadelphia Inquirer. She's a beat writer for the Phillies. If he doesn't, he being Nola, pronouns pal, the Phillies are strongly considering Yamamoto as that top of the rotation starter to sign a free agency. Like many teams, the Phillies have sent scouts to see Yamamoto, but sources say, their interest in him is far from cursory. They've done significant work on Yamamoto. Most teams have sent scouts to see him, but the Phillies should be considered a top 5 suitor for his services. Now, to hear the sentence, the Phillies are interested in a Japanese pitcher, it's almost like, wait, that's got to be wrong. They definitely have the wrong city and the wrong franchise because, back when the Flyers, who would never dip into the Russian market, the Phillies have never been a franchise that ever dip their feet into the Japanese market. Now, Dean, when you have, I don't know how much you've heard about this pitcher other than he's electric. He's an absolute star. If you're the Phillies, do you pivot from Nola and go try to do whatever you can to get Yamamoto? Or do you, again, like I said, maybe try to extend the offer to Nola in years and say, I'm going to go get this guy too?
Yeah, I mean, like I've said before, I think I don't remember who we were talking about, but I was like, sign both. Like I think it was like Hader and Snell, and I was like, just sign both.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do. Like I'm doing whatever I can to bring. I wouldn't say whatever I can to bring Nola back, but close to whatever I can to bring Nola back and sign this guy. Like, why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't
Yeah.
we be the Astros from 2 years ago who had the best pitching staff in baseball and just go into a city in the World Series and mow them down? Why can't we
Right.
do that? Why do we have to have a legitimate ace at the top and then a good pitcher at 2, and then it just, as you get down further into your starting rotation, it just gets worse and worse. So like, why do we have to do that? Why can't we have like 4 good to great, like really good to great pitchers, and then like a decent number 5? Yeah. So I'm going after both guys personally.
So
I'm going after both guys and Sonny Gray. F it.
Oh, jeez. My man's
Yeah,
spending like $1 billion on pitching this offseason.
Dude, we spent $1 billion on bats. Why can't we do it for pitching?
Yeah, I know. You're right. So like what makes this guy so appealing? He's a phenom, let's just say that. He's not the Undertaker, but he is a Japanese phenom. He has a career ERA of a 1.82 with a record of 70-29 and has 922 strikeouts in 897 innings for in their professional baseball league out there. And he's only 25 years old. Like, this is something that's very unseen. Usually when you get a chance at a superstar pitcher in Japan, they're pushing 30. They're 28, 29, 30. Yeah. This he's a kid. He's 25. This is a guy that he's a top of the top end rotation guy that can lead your franchise for the next decade. So if I'm the Phillies, man, I'm taking this insanely serious. And I don't know. I mean, when you say top 5 suitors to me, not good enough. If you tell me they're a top 2 or 3, now we're getting into some good business here. Business is about to pick up. And the great words of Jim Ross is, but the problem is, man, you got the Yankees, you got the Mets, you got the Red Sox, who are historically are the franchises that will spend big money in that Japanese market.
So as will the
Exactly. So before we move on to our next topic, where we kind of go towards the offense a little bit, Dean, what's your prediction for Yamamoto? Where's he going? It's hard to kind of judge what kind of money he's going to make. I do think it's going to start at $200 million, but that's just my opinion. But what team do you have him ending up with?
I will say I want us to sign him. I would love for him to be here in Philly, but because we've never aggressively dipped into that market, I would have to believe it to see it. So I am going to go and say he's not going to come here. Being said, prefacing that I hope he does come here. Like, yes. I hope we do. I hope Dombrowski is just like, F it, I'm signing this guy too. And just
Yeah. Yeah,
slide
I
the blank
agree.
check over to him and,
Yep.
says, fill it in because, um, I think he's going to go to the Yankees. I think the Yankees are going to be really aggressive this offseason. They didn't make the
Mhm.
playoffs for the first time. Well, yeah, they were in the playoffs last year. But, that's a franchise that actually has standards. They're in a bit of a mess right now, but
Mhm.
that Hal Steinbrenner is probably, or Hank, whoever's owns the team now, I don't remember, is probably not too happy that they didn't make the playoffs. So
Mhm.
they're going to do what Yankees do, and they spend stupid money, and that's probably what they're going to do. And I think that's where he'll go.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I wanna say he's gonna be a Philly, I have nothing of history to base that on because, like you said, the Phillies have never really done it, if ever. So I really can't sit here and be like, sure, how can I possibly doubt that the Phillies are going to sign this great Japanese pitcher?
Yeah.
So you say the Yankees. I'm going to go with the other New York team. I'm going to say he's going to go to the Mets. The Mets have been dumping salary. They said they're not going to spend a crap ton of money this offseason. So just going after Yamamoto would be massive for that team
Hmm.
moving forward. So unfortunately, I think the Phillies are going to come close. I believe I will firmly believe, and I believe in Dave Dombrowski, but I'm going to think that the Mets are just going to they have deeper pockets and they're willing to spend significantly more stupid money than the Phillies. So I'm going to say Yamamoto ends up with the Mets, which sucks because we'll have to see him quite often. But you can't get them all.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get to our next topic, which we're going to talk about Nick Castellanos, I just want to do everyone a favor and help them out and spice up your Thanksgiving as we dive headfirst into mountains of mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce. Let's talk about the unsung hero of the holidays, the Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. That's right. It's time to go cold turkey on your old razor and take care of your own turkey leg with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Visit manscaped.com and use our code BASEBALL20 for 20% off plus free shipping and enjoy Thanksgiving in style with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Don't let your poor grooming be the topic of the dinner conversation this year. With the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, you'll be the talk of the table. It's waterproof, so you can groom wet or dry. And let's face it, we all want to look our best before carving that bird. Plus, the LED spotlight ensures that you don't miss a spot even in a low light situations. And speaking of carving, the dual skin safe blade heads are your best teammates. Ric Flair would love these blade heads. The trimmer blade takes care of business, while the foil
I get
blade,
it.
yeah, while the foil blade gives you an irresistibly sleek finish, like a winning touchdown at your Thanksgiving table. And for my men who go back for seconds, Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle for the man who deserves it all. This bad boy is the whole plate and dessert. Included is the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose trimmer, Manscaped's liquid formulations, and not one, two free gifts. Now that you've tackled the fur, it's time to make sure you smell like royalty with the Crop Soother Aftershave Lotion and the Crop Preserver Anti-Shave Ball Deodorant. Once they touch your sack, you'll never go back. The gift of Manscaped doesn't stop there. This bundle comes with two free gifts, Manscaped's Boxers 2.0 Premium Underwear and the Shed 2.0 Toiletry Bag. Once you're done shaping up, it's only right that you put your pants presents in the best wrapping at all, the Boxers 2.0. These are seriously the best boxers I've ever worn in my life. I probably have I want to say 13 or 14 pairs of them. Absolutely spectacular. Thank you to Manscaped for helping a brother out there. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code baseball20 at manscaped.com. At 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com and use our code baseball20. Be thankful this holiday season for the best gift of all from Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. All right, back here. Ring the bell. Philly show. We're talking off-season baseball. We just did a pretty good deep dive on the Aaron Nola situation, the Yamamoto situation. Let's talk about another topic that was hot for about 48 hours. And the Phillies kind of nipped that one in the bud, yet I just don't firmly believe it. And that's Nick Castellanos and his availability. This is something that Dean and I have been talking about since August. since August. And then, he had a look, not for nothing. He had a good season. He had a really good, he had 30 home runs. He set a career high in RBIs. He had 29 home runs. I'm sorry, a career high in RBIs of 106. He hit 272. His strikeouts were way up. He had 130 in 2022, and that jumped all the way up to 185 this season. And one,
sucks, right?
and it doesn't shock me that Castellanos' strikeouts number were that high, mainly because the dude literally will swing. And like, this isn't like a fabricated statement. He swings at anything. It doesn't matter where it is at the plate. It could be heading towards a dugout. He might take at least a check swing at it. But you look at this guy and you look at what's probably like putting a hard stop on this trade is the fact that he's due another $80 million. You got 2024.
His contract
I'm sorry,
is like immovable.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's owed $60 million after this. He's got $20 million this year, and then the next 3 years through 2026, making $20 million a year. And if you look at the guy, and if you look at what he did in the postseason, I think in the NLCS he hit what, like a .40, like it was really embarrassing.
Yeah,
Although he didn't have any errors in the outfield, he also statistically from metrics had the worst range, and I think didn't even qualify in terms of assists. But look, you're not really signing Nick Castellanos to be your star right fielder. You're signing Nick Castellanos to hit the baseball.
I don't know what you're signing him for.
So looking at this, and the rumor was the Phillies offered him up immediately after the season and got no takers. And the people that did pick up the phone or answer the calls said that's just a contract that's going to be almost immovable, like you said, Dean. To me, I feel like the immovable doesn't exist in pro sports. Everyone can be moved. It all depends. Mike Trout can be moved as long as the Angels cover $150 million of the remaining $260 of the deal.
Yeah.
What do you think happens this all season with Nick Castellanos? Do you think ultimately there becomes a buyer and the Phillies will answer that call?
I would love it because I'm sick of this dude. Like,
I know.
I'm sick of him swinging at every, zero plate discipline at all.
Zero. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see it happening. As I've said before, I think Hoskins leaving is going to be like the radical change that they make, even though he was gone all season. And I think if Nola doesn't resign, that's like the other, we're shaking things up. I don't see him getting traded. I really don't. That unless they're willing to eat like half of his contract still. But
a trade deadline deal.
Depends where we're at in the season. I mean, if this team, starts off slow and never picks it back up, and we're 10 games under 500 going in the All-Star break, I think he's going to get moved 100%.
Yeah.
Especially if he's having a solid season. Sure, somebody will be like, yeah, he's a bat we could use. But I just don't see it. I think he's too inconsistent for teams to be like, I'll bet my money on that. Listen, you could pay me a tenth of what he's making, and I'll swing at every damn thing that comes in your plate. If that's what you want out of a player, and I probably am a better outfielder than him. I don't have the bat speed anymore, but I'm probably a better outfielder than the guy still. But I'll strike out 180 times in a season and literally swing at balls in the dirt. I can do it.
Yeah.
That's what you
want. So for me, I think they're gonna, if anyone calls, they're going to pick up the phone and listen to offers. And it's just not a good contract. It's $20 million a year over the next 3 years for a guy that, that on the surface, $20 million for a guy that just hit 29, 106, and a 272 batting average doesn't sound that bad at all. I mean, he'd get more than that. And if take some of the strikeouts away, just looking at that slash, he'd probably get that or a little bit more in the open market. But there's got to be more to it. And I think that kind of boils down to what I've said during the season, where he's got to have the worst attitude that I've seen in a long time. I mean, he has horrendous body language. His attitude is putrid. I mean, after he strikes out swinging 4 times in a row at pitches that are about 8 inches off the plate, he's doesn't show any kind of emotion. He just doesn't care. And when he talks about, when he's slumping, one of his 12 slumps during a season, the best thing he says, oh, it's not a big deal. As long as we're winning, blah, blah, blah. I think there's got to be more to it, because I don't think that $20 million price tag is
we
that
weren't
bad.
winning the NLCS, Nick. Sorry. But hey, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool, man. He brings his son to the game. They point at each other when he hits a home run. Hey, it's all about vibes. Good vibes,
That's all
man.
it is.
We don't need a World Series. Vibes. That's all I care about. Good
so
vibes
if you look
at the stadium.
So what he did in his final 4 games,
to hang vibes from the rafters. Vibes.
That's all you got to do.
That's all we need.
So in his last 4 games, he had 15 plate appearances. He had 1 hit. Struck out 4 times. He hit .077 and a 200 on base percentage. Just awful. I mean, just really, really bad, which stinks, because in the first 2 series, he was hitting the baseball. But then out of nowhere, this is the problem with Nick Castellanos. And Rhys Hoskins fell into the same thing. And, Dean, you're a Hoskins guy, and you'll say the same thing.
I like Hoskins.
He'll be the kind of guy that will carry your team individually for like 2 weeks. And the next day, he goes on like a 1 for 30 slump, and he looks awful.
Yeah.
But the problem with Castellanos is, like, he doesn't walk. At least Hoskins drew walks when he was slumping.
Same thing with I would say about Schwarber. Yeah, Schwarber's average sucks. Of course it does. Nobody can deny that. But like, he got 100 walks. So who cares if it was 100 walks or 100 hits? What does it matter?
Right.
You know what I mean? A walk and a single do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Castellanos doesn't even do that. He's just like, F it. I'm just going to swing at everything.
Yeah. I mean, that's,
he don't even care.
Yeah, it left a really bad, and I'll never even forget. And I think what really left a lot of Philadelphia Phillies fans kind of going against Castellanos. I know this completely turned me off at the end, is that when they lost Game 6 in Philadelphia, they went to Nick Castellanos, which I don't even know why people even – I don't know why the media even goes to the guy to get to talk. They go to him and say, you lose Game 6. Game 7 tomorrow in Philadelphia, what's the feeling? And he goes, it's a great opportunity. It's what everyone dreams of, to be in a Game 7. I'm like, dude, you just blew the series in Game 6 at home. And now you got to play a Game 7 against the Arizona friggin' Diamondbacks, who clearly didn't even belong on the same field as the Texas Rangers. Realistically, didn't belong in the same field as the Phillies. And the best thing you can And the best thing you can say to your fan base is, well, it's a great opportunity to play a game in a Game 7. Man, you can shove that up your ass and get out of here. Like, I was done after that. I take a lot of BS from players, because I come from that world where I've talked to them. I've talked to thousands of them. I've heard, I've talked to real leaders. I've been in rooms with real leaders. Like in hockey, like I've been in the same room one-on-one with guys like Sidney Crosby, Steven Stamkos, Alexander Ovechkin. And if I know for a fact, even back for Flyers, like a Mike Richards or a Chris Pronger, you ask any of the, or I've even talked to the Brad Lidges, the Shane Victorinos, the Ryan Howards. If you would have went into that 2008 locker room after a Game 6 loss at home, and they had a chance to take the series, and they got to go play Game 7, you would not hear one of those dudes say, well, it's a great opportunity playing Game 7.
Yeah.
That's just a dude who knows he's going to collect $20 million at the end of the day. That's what it was. And just not, you and I can go in circles regarding Nick Castellanos.
Yep.
I understand the 270 batting average, 29 and 106. I prefer to never see him again. My opinion is, though, I agree with Dean. I don't think he's going anywhere. I just don't. The only time I think Castellanos does is if there's a team in the offseason who fails to check all their boxes and what they wanted to do in the offseason, whether it was traded guys, signed guys, then they might go back to that sheet and go, well, let's give Dombrowski a call and see if Nick Castellanos is available because, we really don't have anything else to do. We lost out on player A, player B. Let's try this route. And that could be something that happens.
I also think that they're probably not going to trade him because they don't have a replacement for him. Since Bryce is going to stay at first, that eliminates Bryce playing in right field. And if Bryce was going to play right field, I'd be, not that I would want Reese at first, but I personally, if you're asking me, I would rather have a tandem of Bryce and Wright and Reese at first than Bryce at first and Nick at right. Because I think Reese is at least he's a leader.
Yeah.
He's well respected in that locker room and across the league, where you can clearly tell Nick Castellanos. Really, you can be buddies with anybody, but you can clearly tell that dude's not a leader. He's just there, got his feet up. I'm collecting $20 million. Yeah, I'll hit a home run. Point at my son. Crowd love it. Woo.
I will say you could tell
Good
that
vibes.
players don't necessarily gravitate to him either, right? Like when you hear players talk about like Bryce or Stott, Harper, that could have been perceived as I said Stott's whole name. When you look at a Harper or a Stott or a Schwarber, you could tell players gravitate to them. I never
JT
hear.
as well, and
same thing with JT. Absolutely.
Even though this season was a mirror image of 2021, where he kind of struggled most of the year. His timing was off with his his leg kick and stuff like that. He's a leader, man. He's the best catcher in baseball. I mean, maybe not for much longer. I mean, he is on the decline, but he's definitely a leader in that clubhouse. And how many pitchers have said that he's the best catcher they've ever had catch their games.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't Andrew Knapp. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I agree, man. All right, so that's my prediction on Cassie. I think he stays unless a team is at the bottom of the barrel and they need something.
I would personally go after Cody Bellinger. Listen, I'll give Jason his props. He said it last season we should have signed him, but he had 3 bad years in a row, man. I don't know. That's kind of why I didn't want him. And again, I watched a lot of Dodgers games, and he was terrible after that MVP season. But hey, maybe we had him. And listen, I agree with like Jason, like never. But he might have been right in that situation. But I'm going after Bellinger, and I'm calling up every team in the league and be like, listen, man, give me a gift card to your local bagel place. I'll pay half his salary and give me a bag of bagels, and I'm good, or a calzone. Like, I'm just getting him out off this team.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Trade him out to San Diego. He can rot with Soto and Manny Machado and the cheater at shortstop.
Dude, San Diego is trying to dump everyone. Like, did you?
They have no money.
Did you hear the story that they had to borrow money? They
literally have no money.
Yeah, it's really, not sad what's going on over there, but the money they have invested in some of these dudes is Tatis, Machado. I wonder what they're going to do with Blake Snell. People do think Snell's going to get signed by the Padres. That's another big contract. So I just don't know what they're going to do. All right. So before we get to our Phillies predictions, I do want to just go through a couple names of these free agent pitchers, and I want to kind of give my quick predictions on who I think they're going to end up with. I'll ask you the same thing, Dean. So in terms of Yamamoto, Dean says the Yankees. I say the Mets, with the Phillies finishing second. Dean, Blake Snell, the
Mm.
reigning, defending NL Cy Young. Where do you think Blake Snell ends up this offseason?
Texas.
Okay. All right. Man, this was tough for me. So to me, I think Blake Snell, if he doesn't end up back with San Diego, I am also going to throw a wild card here. I think he ends up with the Baltimore Orioles.
Hmm.
I think the Orioles know that they need pitching, and that was obvious in the postseason. And I
Yeah.
think I think Snell would be a really good. He knows the AL East, so I think that's a big bonus for the Orioles there. He knows how to pitch against the
Good
Yankees. He
signing for
knows how
them.
to yeah, and
Be a
he
real
knows
good
how to
signing
pitch
for them.
against the Red Sox. So I'm going to say Blake Snell ends up with the Baltimore Orioles. We both said Aaron Nola ends up with the Phillies, so that's good there. Where do you see Josh Hader going?
I haven't given much thought about him, honestly. Because I want him to come here, but I haven't really thought about where else he could go.
My choice, just
All,
to help you out, I think is the Rangers.
that's a good possibility. I'll go with
Yeah,
the Rangers too. Yeah,
yeah.
because Boston has a closer. They still got Kenley Jensen for another year. I don't see him going to the Yankees. Why would you? You'd have to cut your hair. I mean, look how awful Garrett Cole looks without a beard. Fucking
I know.
chubby leather face. Like, come on, who wants to look like that?
I think the Cardinals are a team as well that are going to look at Hader.
Yeah, it
The
could be it
Cardinals are
too.
going to be, I think, in on a lot of guys. I think the Cardinals are going to be on Nola. I think they're going to be on Snell. But I think Hader could be there. But I think he's going to end up in Texas.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll go with Texas too. I think they got a lot of money. They got an owner who wants to just keep on winning, and I think
yep,
they're gonna keep spending and spending and spending.
yep, I agree. All right, Sonny Gray. You said Phillies earlier.
Yeah, I think he comes here. I
Wow.
think they're gonna make a play for him. Yeah,
So
because his
this
name
is
has come up a couple times, honestly,
it has.
about coming here. So I think that's who they're gonna go after.
Okay, so my prediction is it's going to be 1A, 1B. I know it's cheating, but it's a caveat to it. I think the Phillies are my number one choice because I think once they sign Nola, I think they're going to miss out on Snell and Yamamoto,
Mm.
and they're going to pivot right to Sonny Gray. But I think this offseason, I might surprise people again. I think Sonny Gray could end up with Blake Snell in Baltimore. I feel like Baltimore's going to spend some serious cash on pitching.
It's possible.
And I think that's a route for them to go. So, but I am going to say, I think the Phillies, actually. I think the Phillies end up this offseason with Sonny Gray and Aaron Nola. Here's one because it used to be a guarantee that he's going to be here no matter what, but maybe not now. Where does Clayton Kershaw end up?
Well, I'm pretty sure he's going to be out for like the first half of the season.
Yes. So he's going to
Um,
sign a 2-year deal.
I think he stays with the Dodgers.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, if he doesn't, he'll be with the Rangers.
That's what I
I don't
said.
think.
I think it's
Yeah,
going to be the Rangers.
if he doesn't stay with the Dodgers, you know, he's just gonna go home. It's not like he's gonna go to the Red Sox or
Mhm.
the Braves or anything like that. He's just gonna go back to Texas. But I kind of feel like he's gonna stay with the Dodgers. I mean, he's a legend there.
Yeah.
He's so close to 3,000 strikeouts. And I think the Dodgers might. I mean, they've said the same thing. They have an endless amount of money they're going to spend this year, and
Mhm.
I don't think they're going to let their greatest pitcher in history walk.
Yeah. I agree.
I'd be shocked. I'd be real shocked. I mean, I'd be okay. I'm a huge Kershaw fan, because I
Mhm.
like the Dodgers too, and I'd be okay with him going to Texas. But I can't see the Dodgers letting him walk. I really
Mhm.
can't. I'd be really shocked.
Yeah, I think that would be just stunning to be at this point in his career to be on another team. I
Yeah.
just
I mean,
don't
hey,
think that happens.
they let Kenley Jensen walk. They let Justin Turner walk. Um, I mean, obviously they're not at the caliber of player that Kershaw is, but
Mhm.
in the modern game, since Rivera retired, I think Kelly Jensen's the best closer in the league. I mean, he had a couple years he was a little shaky, but I take him on the team on the Phillies over everybody. I mean, he fixed his delivery and he's right back to where he was, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So, Dodgers let him walk. They drafted that guy,
Yep.
So,
Yep.
So it could happen, but I don't know. I find it hard to see it happening, but I could be wrong.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, we definitely obviously could. So I also want to name just a couple a couple offensive players before we finish out with what we fully expect the Phillies to do. Where do you think Cody Bellinger ends up?
I think it's one of two things. I think he's either going to stay in Chicago, especially because they just got Counsell, or he's going to go to the Yankees. I did see the Giants floated out there as well, but
I'm seeing the Giants being floated around with everyone.
Yeah, but I think with them going after Craig Counsell, who is one of baseball's best managers. I mean, that dude has had the Brewers of all teams, winning divisions, borderline World Series appearances. Took the Dodgers to 7 games 5 years ago. I think they're gonna look at it and be like, we can't let a guy like Bellinger leave. Like he had a monster year. So I could see them signing him. I could really see him staying in Chicago.
I think that's
where
one.
Honestly, I think that's where Hoskins is going to go too. If you want my personal opinion,
I think Hoskins might end up in a place like Boston. I mean, my next question was going to be Rhys Hoskins, and I immediately just thought of Boston. I mean, he's not a superstar, so I mean, he doesn't really have leverage. I also thought of Anaheim going out to the Angels.
Boy, man, just way to end your career.
I mean, I feel like it's his one chance probably to get paid, unless he takes a 1-year flyer, like prove it I'm back deal with someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably get overpaid in LA right now. I feel like as a free agent, that might be a place you want to go and get, you could probably make a lot of money out there.
I could see the Dodgers making a play for him too. I mean, he'd be a great DH for them. I mean, Muncy sucks, so.
Well, I mean, Dodger fans love Max Muncy.
I like Muncy, but I mean, if you're asking me who I'd rather see DH, I'd rather see Hoskins DH for him.
Yeah. No, I understand that completely. All right, so let's kind of wrap things up here. We are going to be here every week now with content, so we're still going to make these predictions now so I can go back and see if we were terribly wrong or if things are lining up correctly. At the end of the day, Dean, the winter meetings are coming up in a few weeks. Then you're full bore into the off season. At the end of the day, when it comes to spring training, let's just say spring training starts tomorrow. What do you think the Phillies did in the offseason?
I think, what do you mean, just like signing wise?
Yeah. Who, are they, how many are they going to make? Okay, good.
I think Nola. I think Sonny Gray.
Hector Neris.
No, I got a feeling they're going to bring back Craig Kimbrell, but I'd like to see them. I'm going to say Josh Hader because I think they're going to go after him too. I don't know. I don't think he'll come here, but I think they'll make an offer to him, and you never know. He might turn around and be like, "Yeah, I'll go to Phillies." So who knows? But definitely think those two. Offensively, I don't really know because again, this is not a great free agent pool out there. So I don't really know how unless you're going to bring in a Cody Bellinger. I don't know where you're upgrading offensively.
Yeah, they're going to have to make a trade for a starting left fielder. So my offseason is going to be Nola, Sonny Gray, and they're going to make a trade for a decent starting left fielder. They're not going to fill it with a Christian Pache or a Brandon Marsh. I really think that they're going to keep Rojas in AAA, and I think he's going to spend the next 60 consecutive days of no sleep, just standing in a batting cage, hitting a baseball. So because that's what he's got to do. I think Brandon Marsh is going to be their starting center fielder unless miraculously they get Cody Bellinger, of course. But
even then, I would put Bellinger. I would put him in right because he's got a cannon for an arm.
Yeah,
And then I
he
would
does.
move Castellanos back to left field where he used to play.
Yeah, so I think the Phillies end up this offseason. They'll get another bullpen arm, a significant one, maybe a Hector Neris if he's cheap enough.
Oh, God.
I don't see that happen. I don't see them bringing that back.
Oh.
But I do think that they trade for a left
Bring
fielder.
back Jared Eichhoff too. Hell, just bring back everybody from 2017.
Bring everyone back. I
Let's
would
just
love
go back to the shitter.
turn the place into a
You,
parking
you
lot.
let Hector Neris go for a reason because he sucks.
Yeah.
So why are you going to bring him back because he had one good year in Houston? Come on, get out of here.
And again, he's not
Wasteful
28.
time.
You know,
No,
he's 34. He's like 8 months younger than Kimbrel. But
and I don't want Kimbrel back either. I
no,
stupidly
nobody
said that
wants
before the
Kimbrel
NLCS. I was like, honestly, Kimbrel hasn't been that bad. I'd bring him back. And then he imploded in the NLCS. I was like, wow, get that guy out of here, man. That was a stupid decision, I said.
So yeah, I think it's going to be Nola, Sonny Gray, and they're going to trade for a left fielder. So ultimately, I believe you're going to see an A to A plus offseason for the Phillies. I think Dombrowski knows what they need, and he's not a guy that sits on his hands. He's not a guy that's going to sit back and wait for everything to come to him. So I'm really looking forward to see when things start to ramp up. I do think it's not going to take that long. Shohei Ohtani is not a guy who likes to wait. I think he's going to make his choice, and it's going to be like out of nowhere. Like we're all going to wake up to a Jeff Passan tweet at like 6 a.m. one morning, and it's all the details. You know, he's going to be signing somewhere. I think it's going to be out west.
I could see the Phillies signing like a Tommy Pham.
I was looking at Pham as well. I was looking at a Pham.
I could see a move like that, honestly.
Yeah. And you know, we'll see what happens. But again, huge offseason coming up. We had our off time. We're gonna be here every weekly, just once a week. It's not, you know, we only do twice a week during the regular season. So we'll be back here weekly. And I think as things start to go, we'll have a lot to talk about. Because I think once Thanksgiving passes, things are gonna, you know, once those winter meetings hit in December, all gloves are off. Anything can happen at any time. So we're excited for that. Next week, we'll have a show probably like Monday or Tuesday because next week is Thanksgiving. And so we'll be obviously off that entire second half of the week. We'll try to do a stream Monday or Tuesday. We'll see how it goes. And then normal all the way through Christmas. So yeah, this has been Ring the Bell. I'm Chris C. Francesco. That's Dean Holzapple. Follow us on all the socials at Ring the Bell 856. If you're watching and following along on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and you'll get all the updates of when we're going to record or when we're going to do a live stream so you guys can join the party. We're looking forward to a fun off season. Should be a lot of fun. And it's my second favorite time of the year is baseball free agency. And when things like that hot stove is so much fun to pay attention to. All right. So, and shout out to Jason Kent. Jason's going through some stuff. That's why he couldn't be on tonight. Lot of cocaine. Just kidding. Not that's no, I'm just joking. But no, but Jay should be back on next week and back to normal. Thank you guys so much.
I'll make sure not to be here then.
I know you. I'm sure you'll. If Neris is here, you'll never see Dean again.
I'll quit the show.
Head over to SeatGeek.com right now. Use our code ONTHEBUMP for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. And again, head over to Routine.com right now for Routine Baseball. They just dropped their brand new nightcap fall line. Absolutely spectacular. It's good to see them boys back on top in terms of fashionable baseball apparel. So head over to Routine.com. Use our code Ring the Bell for 10% off your purchase. And of course, give them a follow on Instagram at Routine Baseball. All right, guys. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. And there's no season, so I can't say go Phils, but enjoy your Thanksgiving if we don't talk to you or you guys can't catch us next week. And we'll be around soon. See ya. Bye-bye.